Sorry, it's wrong, but that's the best time
What's wrong?
for Daniel to talk.
Huh?
Can you hear me clearly? Does that sound good?
Yeah. You
That sounds
good.
fine.
Wow.
Your ear mask fell.
COVID spreads through the eardrum.
You could probably get it.
Welcome back to the Experience Podcast.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Experience Podcast with someone else and someone who really likes to interrupt Alex. Those two other someone else's are Daniel Silverstein, of course, and has Annabelle been on before?
Yeah.
She has been on. I guess, and of course I'm on as well. So it's Tanner, the fan favorite.
Right,
Let's talk about college football.
This is the Experience Podcast with me and someone else.
Oh, we just now started?
Okay, we have
Was that the cold
Alex
open?
back. He's back from discovering the atom, and we have Tanner.
Yes.
And Tanner, do you have someone else you'd like to introduce?
Annabelle's going to be briefly joining. In the meantime, food preparation. So she's going to be like going back and rotating food.
It sounds like Annabelle's listening to someone else on Snapchat or something. That's
No. There's a person across the breezeway. She's going in though.
Okay.
I don't know how you hear her. She's like at least 40 feet away.
It's faint.
5G Huawei technology.
That's probably what it is.
So this crazy college football world, right?
Okay.
Well, Georgia Tech's Spirit roster for marching band just got released. Alex and I are both in the gold band, and unfortunately, we're not playing in the the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame, excuse me.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Way.
Unfortunately. So I was thinking about entering the student lottery for that one, but I also don't want to see our asses get handed to us. All right, Daniel.
I do. There's only so many times you can watch Notre Dame. Yo, imagine if we had transferred this year, you could have watched Notre Dame twice. Anyway, yeah, I know. I'm disappointed that we didn't get Notre Dame either, because we've already seen Clemson, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what we don't have? We don't have a gig tomorrow at 9.
That's nice.
That's pretty cool.
I got a good Friday. Well, whereas Annabelle has the other side of the story. Annabelle, tell us about the gig that you're going on tomorrow.
It's a scrimmage from 7 to 9 or something like that. I haven't rehearsal before, so sucks.
Yeah,
There's still rehearsal tomorrow? There's still rehearsal tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah, they haven't canceled it.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, Daniel, you should get Christopher Moore on this podcast.
I bet
That's a big get. That's a big get for the podcast.
Today we're joined by
Mike,
Cameron Cross and Christopher Moore.
DJ
Guys.
Mike, come on. I don't know about Chris.
Yeah, he's
It was
good.
already a stretch to
So
get
super
it to work
studs.
that like 12-second clip in my vlog.
Oh, yeah. That kind of boosted your clout by,
It's-
like 30%?
Mhm.
And the numbers were really good after that. It's Anderson Bellingham. Love to see it.
I was telling the people that we were on the podcast with last week that our podcast numbers went up as soon as people returned to campus. So
Hey,
Wait, actually?
yeah, a little bit, not like
Can you
their memories.
Can you give us a quantitative number? A quantitative number
The
just
numbers
associate like
went up
110% increase.
like a 40% increase.
That's pretty substantial. That's like what?
Significant.
From
Yeah.
2 to 5 people?
That's not 40%. But I get what you're saying, Terry. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know
That's a whole nother person. So we went from 10 to 14 people. The math
No.
checks out. That is a 40%.
It wasn't that. Anyway, college football.
Yeah.
Alex, go ahead.
Well, it's starting up soon.
Tanner,
Right?
go ahead.
Well, okay. Sorry to interrupt, Alex. But
Oh,
the
no,
first
no,
game,
Tanner, I want to hear your take
Austin,
first.
it was Austin Pay versus
Central
like
Arkansas?
Arkansas.
I don't know.
Yeah, Central Arkansas. Which is like a proof of concept college football game that can happen. But what if that's the only college football game of the season? Because Labor Day weekend's next week, or I guess it's this upcoming Monday. And
Actually, it will be this past weekend by the time this episode.
Okay. Well, by the
These
time
podcast listeners.
No, it'll
But-
be 2 weekends ago.
Wow. Unbelievable.
think
Yeah,
of
we're
how
in the-
disastrous. I'm just trying to say, think of how disastrous Labor Day weekend and that vacation is going to be or just think of the impact it's going to have on campuses as people return from going wherever they're going and commuting, and they're returning to campus, and then they'll get tested more and more, and then probably I'm going to guess next week's numbers are going to be huge, right? Huge increase, and I wonder if that's going to be the final nail in the coffin for college football. I wonder if by Friday they'll have to make a decision by next Friday. That's what I'm thinking. That's decision day, because isn't the following Monday after that Friday, isn't that like the tuition deadline for most schools?
Let's ask most schools. Oh, I forgot they're on the next week's podcast. Okay, we'll get back to that answer, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think you could be sailing in the right direction, Tanner. I don't know. They might try and squeeze one. Like if it does get really bad after this Labor Day, they might try and squeeze one more week of football because they're like, oh well, we'll kind of see it, see if it dies down, and then it might get worse.
And could you imagine a college football season just because not a season, it's one game? Excuse me, coughing on some water. Not coronavirus. I promise.
Well, we can't confirm that.
We cannot confirm that at this time. Though recently, Wednesday, I did test negative for it.
Good job.
Oh, it's been a whole day.
That's yesterday.
However, I now know someone within 1 degree of separation that had it. One of my UGA friends has it. So. I mean, I haven't seen them recently, so I'm not concerned. But
That doesn't count as one to. Okay.
well, okay. I guess
Yeah, someone I knew 12 years ago just got it, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
well,
basically dead.
fine, not a degree, but it's narrowing in. It's getting bleak, is what I'm saying, especially for college football.
Who knows? Why don't they all play each other at one time in a bubble? Just do it exactly like the NBA. Just like
an actual bubble.
Right?
They should put a dome.
like the Simpsons dome in that movie, and they just
Simpsons movie.
it's an 11 by 11, but you just multiply it by, I guess, what would that 65? Because you have 130 FBS teams. Split up the FBS teams and then just have them run at each other.
Well, how big is a NBA team? Right,
15 people on the roster.
40? 15 people on the roster, maybe 40 in staff per team that's allowed in the bubble, maybe? I don't know. How big are the staffs?
I have no idea. Let me call up LeBron.
Yeah.
Well, with college football, I know, there's 11 men on the field at any one time, but our team, if you see them line up on the sidelines, they're 100 plus strong, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they can allow 100 plus for each team. Teams aren't going to be able to afford it. Clemson's not Clemson. Clemson and UGA are going to be able to go, but poor schools like Austin Pay and Central Arkansas,
Georgia Tech,
those type of C tier teams aren't going to be able to go.
To the bubble.
Yeah, that's the problem with the bubble.
Build a bigger bubble. Nobody lives in Wyoming anyway.
Then it becomes more expensive, and only the Clemsons can go. I think we just need to have year-long Clemson scrimmages where they just put a random number generator assigned to each Clemson player, right? There's 100 players on the team, and they just have them play scrimmages in a bubble. And there's a team. 11v11. They generate new teams each week. What do you guys think? There's 100 players?
You had me at, hi, I'm Tanner. Welcome back to the Experience Podcast. So I'm sold.
Thank you. That was just a little taste of the Tanner Experience podcast.
Alex is a little too easy to sell on those sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a yes man. I will concede.
I remember when Blake was trying to convince me against my idea to have like a weighted college football system. It's like, why is it always the Clemsons that are in Ohio States that are always on top? Why can't it be the poor little Georgia Techs that have to play? Like I was talking about making a super conference of all like the football dynasties, like Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, and Ohio State. Why don't they just all play themselves? You know, it's like, why don't they all just play themselves?
Dang, that's what they're trying to do in Europe.
We need a football dynasty division. That's what I'm trying to say.
If they have an eight team college playoff, that might, it'd be kind of close. Not really, because they wouldn't play each other all the time, but
Yeah, Blake did a pretty good job, but I was like, it's kind of unfair that Clemson versus Georgia Tech is like the first game of the season for ACC. It's like, who wants to see the little bees get squashed by a big tiger? I certainly don't.
Well,
we're Yellow Jackets, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, Yellow Jackets are just
smaller,
more agile bees, are they not?
Aren't they wasps?
Which are bees?
Let me call up LeBron. He seems to know about this stuff. All right, I guess that's the new bit. We'll just call LeBron when we have a question.
Alex said it. Yeah.
Well, but if you say it's going to be a bit, then it's not.
Every 3 minutes, Alex throws out a joke, and no one has a big enough reaction for it. I mean, I'm sorry, Alex.
I liked it. I'm going to call.
We're not doing good enough.
I mean, it goes into the universe. I'm sure, there's some.
There's got to be
some. Add LeBron to the Experience Podcast lore.
Yeah, let me just click the add to call here.
It should be easy, right?
I think he has a game tonight. But he might be getting ready.
That's the only reason we couldn't reach him.
Tanner, could you move the camera closer to your face? Yeah.
Okay, I can.
Uh,
That's okay. Yeah. So Daniel, what's been going on? How was your training sessions? Your night school, basically.
It's day school, but no, it's going okay. I was telling
You
Alex.
getting A's? You passing?
Yeah, passing. I was like I said, I was talking to Alex and going to fire school next week after the holiday. So, got to put on the mask and the coat and all that.
It's pretty.
The big old lead coat.
You mean your lead coat?
Well, I gotta tell you guys, and this is how I'm gonna smoothly transition into today's sponsor. Is actually the Amazon series The Boys. Have you guys heard of The Boys?
I'm aware of Boys.
But tell me more.
Alex, have you seen it?
No.
I think you'd like it. Well, the second season comes out tomorrow, September 4th.
Not all of it.
Not all of it?
Only the first 3 episodes come out tomorrow.
Wait, actually?
Yes.
All right, then I'm revoking the sponsorship of this episode.
I think I know more about this than you do.
I just knew the second season was coming September 4th.
Go ahead.
That's unfortunate. Well, Alex, if I'm going to try to tell you, sell you on today's sponsor, The Boys is about a bunch of boys, and they hunt superheroes. It's basically like a capitalistic take on what superheroes and what Marvel would be if superheroes were real. You know, like the Disney juggernaut that kind of controls the world. They'd control the superheroes who would, if they were actually real. It's kind of interesting. And it's kind of fun. It's really funny.
Do they try and steal for military purposes? Because that's what I always superheroes. I thought the military would try and just pay them a bunch of money and just use them to
It's kind of. It's basically instead of the military bought them, it's like Disney bought them, and so they're corporate superheroes.
Which is pretty bad.
They're always worried about publicity and that sort of stuff. and they're doing things to earn money. It's like, well, I'll go do this spot, but how much are you going to pay me to sign these autographs or whatever? Instead of worrying about saving people,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And doing things for their own.
Society. So that's
It's
the point.
it's a little more realistic. Like you literally have they'll sell a superhero to a city, like an athlete, like signing a free agency contract. But we'll give you this guy for 4 years at $200 million. They'd be like, well, I don't know if we can afford that.
Protect the city.
Yeah. And so
But
it's
they
big
hunt
market,
this.
big market teams. I mean, that's how the Lakers got LeBron.
Exactly. Just related to basketball.
Exactly.
I think Alex.
We need to call LeBron and ask him if he's seen The Boys.
He's probably seen it.
You do in the oven.
What in the
The
oven?
green beans.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it's a little more of a realistic take.
That's wonderful.
It's very dark and
10, 15 minutes?
gruesome.
Yeah.
Think we flipped them?
There's some stuff
No.
Yeah. They need 40 minutes in total.
This is
Yeah.
I'm glad our listeners can at
Five,
least see
30
us
minutes.
so that they're engaged by at
Of
least
course.
seeing people being able to
15
relate to that
To be done
instead of just
14
having
minutes.
to listen.
Tanner forgot that there's a mute button.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
How loud?
Okay,
How loud? Could you hear?
pretty loud.
Really?
Just,
I was
Tanner, you
talking
could talk
way.
there. Just hit the mute button.
So hey guys, the Experience Podcast, green bean, and about the green beans.
Anyway,
So the green bean.
okay, I think he's done. Yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah.
I think it's like
Okay, so Annabelle, with the green beans, I will I'll send you the recipe. They take 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes.
You guys like French or Italian green beans? This is a poll for the users.
Well, the green beans we're making are basically no, not steamed. It's
Microwave.
no,
Yes.
hold on. They're not microwaved. It's like garlic, a little bit of olive oil, some toasted almonds, some toasted sliced almonds in this garlic, and then you just add in the green beans. It's super easy to make, but I like how the almonds complement the green beans and like their crunch. I think it's good. So, yeah, I was just telling Annabelle. It's really easy. It's literally just olive oil. Throw some sliced almonds in. Throw some salt on that. Throw some garlic in. Then stir that around. Let the almonds get toasted, but not too toasted. Don't let them burn. And then you throw in the green beans. You know that?
You should add like a cooking
and
segment. To
Cooking
the
segment. So
podcast.
that's today's
Nice.
adventure meal. Also throw some red chili pepper flakes
Tanner,
to this.
I hate to tell you, but you're not doing it right. You didn't make me scroll down 75% of the page before you got to the recipe. You didn't
Oh,
give
yeah,
me like
sorry.
a story about these green
So this-
beans. That's the
I
only
can tell
way.
you the story about these green beans, actually.
Go for it.
So these are the green beans my mother used to make while my dad was deployed in the Vietnam War. He was tragically killed in the Tet Offensive
There you go.
that November 1st, 1968. I remember I was still 12 years old. Yes. And the sad part was that my dad was also a Civil War vet, and it was really tragic because his grandmother made these green beans for him. And the sad part was that his grandmother was also a diabetic, so she couldn't eat the green beans. And that's not even the saddest part. She was diabetic because her cat was actually Grindelwald from Beowulf. It was like would not stop attacking her and giving her diabetes.
Keep going.
And so, and no, I have to digress, but Grindelwald the cat was later slain by Beowulf, and his his grandmother's diabetes were cured. But I digress. So yeah, it's really just simple green beans and some sliced onions. And yeah, did you like that story? I think I'd be good at improv. Isn't this whole comedy the podcast improv comedy podcast in quotation marks? Thanks, Alex, for encouraging me. I can keep going with the story, but I think I hit a natural breaking point.
Yeah, no.
Grindelwald.
A big part of life is knowing when to end things.
When to stop? When to call it quits? Yeah. So that's what I've learned. I picked up a thing or two about those green beans. So please try them out. Try them for Grindelwald's sake. Try them for my dad's sake. Rest in peace, Dad. Try them for my dad's grandmother. Rest in peace, Grindelwald. And moving on. So, Alex, what is your favorite food?
What a
Lasagna.
great throw to Alex.
But
I
I
don't know.
caught it.
You can phone me if you
There's
want.
nothing wrong with lasagna. Well, I mean, relatively. You could probably get the diabetes that we were talking about in the story if you eat too much lasagna. Oh, wait, is that just sugar? Hey, Dane, if you could just cut out the last 15 seconds
Yeah,
of
yeah.
me talking. Okay, yeah, cool story, Tanner. I'm
Yeah,
glad
thank
you just ended it there with that natural breaking point. That was very cool.
Daniel, what's your favorite food? I don't know. Hopefully this isn't too presumptuous, but you made fried rice a lot last year. Is that your favorite
Tanner,
food?
that's probably racist.
Was that presumptuous? It wasn't
Hey,
racist.
let me
It was
call up my friend LeBron.
presumptuous.
Let's see what he thinks.
That's
Can we
pretty
phone
racist.
LeBron and see if it was racist or presumptuous? And if fried rice is your favorite food?
I wouldn't say it is. I would say no.
Fried rice is just
What's your
easy.
favorite food then?
Fried rice is easy for me, and it makes a lot of meals at one time. That's the advantage. And we had a bunch of rice too last year, so I was trying to use that up. We still didn't use it all, I don't think.
No.
We
I
left a lot
used
of
it all this
food.
summer. And I bought a huge 10-pound bag, and I was like to my roommates, my 5 other roommates, guys, use this rice. And then I also bought another bag, or I think we had one, like leftover. So there's 2 bags of my rice, one like huge, like 5-pound, and one, 1 pound. So 6 pounds of rice. And then someone bought more, another maybe 3-pound bag. There's literally over 10 pounds of rice, dry rice, just sitting in our thing. I don't know how we're gonna eat that much rice. That's enough. That is enough to feed a small army of Daniel Silversteins. Fried rice.
Yeah.
Probably. I presume. Right, Dan?
Well, anyway, I eat a bunch of different food. Yeah. It's tough to call. I just made a pesto thing. That was okay.
What's the backstory on that?
There's no backstory. Actually, I'm having trouble with the tomatoes. I try to sun dry them in the oven, but I just can't get them to wilt properly.
It's not
Alex?
the sun.
Huh?
It's because it's not the sun.
It's probably
I mean,
because it's not the sun.
There's your
Is that
problem.
your yeah? Alex, you're an expert on tomatoes, so that's why I'm going to you here with that.
Oh, are you? Okay,
It's the
yeah.
best way to
Well,
to get.
I mean,
this.
I just gave you my secret right there. You just let nature do the work. I'm serious.
Okay.
Like I
I'll
don't
just-
cook my chicken. Like I let nature do the work. Now I just I'll leave it out for a minute, not a minute, like an hour or so, and then like in the sun though, so it'll be sun dried chicken, and then I'll have it.
So you're suggesting I put my tomatoes on a pan and just slide them out the door, and just let the sun.
You might
take care.
want to season it with some salt so that
Oh, okay.
removes some of the moisture, so your job is a little easier. Add some flavor too, just kind of get it all mixed in, I suppose. That's what I would advise.
Okay.
If you really have to use an oven, I would go low and slow.
Low and slow. I think I have it on 400 for like 25 minutes or something. Tanner?
See how
Wow,
the
that
things are
mask really
coming.
makes a difference.
Tanner, you guys
Yeah,
hear
I
it?
think it's a policy. Just in her apartment, I wear a mask.
That's good.
Alex, tell us a little bit more about the tragic backstory of sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah, so actually in 1812, when Napoleon's army was marching towards Russia, there was a battle kind of in present-day Poland. Now, at this point, it was still autumn. The sun, in Eastern Europe, it gets cold, but at this point, it was still kind of warm. Unfortunately, a very valiant private, he was the only one in his regiment to survive. He was from the south of France, and they grew a lot of tomatoes on his family farm. And so in honor of the rest of his fallen battalion, he for the victorious march back, he just placed tomatoes on the side of the road. You know, just as tribute to his home and to the soldiers that died. One for each soldier, actually. He carried those tomatoes, and the battalion really loved them because they were, he pickled them really well so that they stayed fresh. But yeah, he left them on the side of the road, and of course, Napoleon's army marches towards Moscow, and we all know how that goes. Now, Napoleon, he'd heard about these brave deeds, and so unfortunately, on the brutal march over, the private did perish. And so Napoleon vowed that his bravery and his memory would not be forgotten. So he like wrote it down, but he still had some work to do. So they go through Russia. That doesn't go so well. So on the march back, their defeated march back, they passed by. Now the tomatoes had sort of been forgotten because outside of that battalion, people had kind of heard, but the horrors of war will make you forget some of those mundane things until you see them again. So on the march back, they pass the same place, and they just see a bunch of tomatoes, neatly aligned and stuff. But obviously, it had been so long, and we're going to ignore the plot hole of it being winter and the tomatoes probably being snowed in. But yeah, so the tomatoes by that point had been completely dried by the sun, and Napoleon, and this is a great story that any French person will tell you. He picks up one of the tomatoes, bites into it, and a tear rolls down from his eye. And so from that point forward, he strives to make sun-dried tomatoes, part of French cuisine, part of, that Mediterranean sort of flavor, because he knows immediately it'll fit really well there. And then so despite the defeat, the sun-dried tomatoes were able to kind of ascend into culinary prominence, especially in France, and then because France is such a culinary epicenter to the rest of Europe and then to the rest of the world. So that's how sun-dried tomatoes, sort of their origin story. So it's pretty cool. Ask any French person.
Honestly, you shouldn't have mentioned the plot hole. I would have been like almost convinced. You just talk with so much diction. Is that the right word? Gumption. Convincingly.
Better. It reminds me of the flavor of a sun-dried tomato. It's got a lot of. Actually, not really.
Yes. Sun-dried tomatoes. The main ingredient in sun-dried tomatoes is actually gumption.
It's just a lot of gumption.
That's a sun-dried tomato fact.
Well, I don't think we could top that. So
no. Hey, put on some French music, Daniel, on the outro for today's podcast. Okay.
I'll have to find some.
It's we kind of have. I'd like a moment of silence for the fallen private and his tomatoes.
Copyright-free French music.
It's probably like some shitty accordion. I imagine the soundtrack to Up, but like a royalty-free version of the.
That's the theme to Up.
Up, yeah, but it's like the accordion version.
If you put an accordion on it, you're fine.
You have the sounds of the city going on in the background. People smoking cigarettes.
The smell of the baguette and cigarettes.
That's when I studied abroad. It was just cigarettes on cigarettes.
Yeah,
gotta love secondhand smoke. So.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as I thought. I remember my parents, the first time we went to Europe, warning me like, "There's going to be a lot of smokers. A lot more people smoke in Europe than in America." And then I was expecting it to literally not be able to get a single like breath of pristine air, but turns out none of the air in Europe is pristine.
You were right, anyway.
So, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. Smoking-wise. And that's a sun-dried tomato fact. You can write that down. Daniel, do you have anything to add to that? You look like you were about to open your mouth, then closed it.
Yeah.
In the talking motion.
You just can't stop thinking about those sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah. I think Alex summed it up. I don't think we can even. add anything to that. There's something
Well,
to add.
actually, a cool fun fact: California, obviously in its Mediterranean climate, is a great place to grow tomatoes and sun-dried tomatoes. Well, tomatoes.
Napoleon knew this. Napoleon knew this. That's why he was after world domination.
Can you let me connect this to LeBron, please? And LeBron is one of the SoCal's most prolific sun-dried tomatoes exponents, or he likes them a lot.
Yeah.
Proponents, yeah.
Proponent. Oh, freaking Latin. Dang.
Exponent. He's an exponent. Eat to the sun-dried tomatoes.
See, but the amount of sun-dried tomatoes produced grew exponentially due to the proponentism of LeBron James. Thank you. Okay. All right. You can also cut that 30 seconds out.
Well,
Daniel.
yeah, that'll be
Well,
gone.
that was kind of weird. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our moment of silence to remember the fallen private and his tomato.
Can't get over how often Tanner moves the camera around.
Something bad happened. Something loud, I think, fell. And then they
What happened?
yelled a little bit. I don't know.
You should go check that out.
I should go
Maybe
check.
burn the almonds.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Put your mask on.
Okay.
You might want to show us too. Daniel, we can do like a radio thing.
You can edit this out, right?
Do you want to be color or like the main guy?
Well, you're white, so I'll be color.
That's meta. Well, here we can see Tanner looking around, a little concerned. He's got a mask. Here's
a momentary grease fire.
Now, one of the things you need to keep an eye on here, Alex, is the glare from the light. Now, how is this going to impact how we're going to see what's going on?
Yeah, I'm concerned too. We have from sources on the ground that there was a momentary grease fire. Obviously, that's not something you want when you're trying to roast your almonds. That'll roast them way too quickly, leaving them burned and far too crispy.
I think we have Kelly on site, who's going to get an interview with Tanner. Is that correct?
Yep. Thank you, token woman. Okay, yeah. I'm glad, as a 38-year-old woman, you're here to attract the 43-year-old men. You do a great job of that, Kelly.
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah.
Botox is looking great today, Kelly.
So,
You just
Kelly, what are you seeing down there at the scene?
I'm seeing, and I just had a sudden voice crack.
I want to tell.
Yeah, it was me going through puberty. Yeah.
What?
You know what I mean?
He's trying to do the sign language thing.
Daniel knows what I mean.
Just done.
Tanner, I can't see. You gotta.
Sign language only works when you can see the signs, Tanner.
Yeah.
To translate for the listeners, there's nothing going on here because Tanner's not showing his hands when he's trying to do sign language. Now, this was kind of what Tanner's doing was a very popular strategy in the 50s. Yeah, but then they got color TV a little later and saw the obvious flaws in that method.
He's now typing in the chat. So
thanks for cutting
Well,
out.
I didn't want to say it out loud, but you're supposed to say it.
Antonio Brown is in some deep trouble. His NFL career is in jeopardy. But no, yeah, as his lawyer, you can go do that.
Yeah.
Say hi to Anderson Bellingham for me.
Yes, and let Kelly know that she won't be getting paid this week.
Okay. Got it. Screw Kelly.
Unless, yeah, okay.
All right, Antonio needs me. All right.
Peace out.
All right, we'll see Tanner next week.
Man. Hey, Daniel, let's dissect why I just said peace out there. Because that isn't cool. Probably was never cool, except for maybe boomers. And I want to kind of take an instant replay there and see what was going through my mind when I said that.
Okay. Oh, am I supposed to go? Okay. So, Alex, we know it's kind of late summer, early fall. Do you think the season change kind of had an impact there? You were thinking about kind of new changes, maybe some new peace involved in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could have addled my brain a bit. I want to dissect peace. Are you talking Piece or Picee, but the I is an A?
Well, we'll have to look at each one of those pieces individually.
Okay. And by peace there, did you mean Pieces or Pieces, but the I is an
I don't know, but let's just make peace with the situation and kind of figure it out from there.
A? Thank you, listeners. We're not going to subject you to that again.
I ran out anyway, so
Yeah, good ending. No, I mean, hey, real talk though. Our listeners, you guys put up with some difficult stuff listening to us speak. And I think you guys are really capturing the spirit of the fallen private and his tomatoes. So just that kind of bravery is something we don't see in the world a lot. But you guys kind of carry the torch, so to speak.
yeah.
So that's
I would say, I'm sorry, but I would say our listeners really are angels of human beings here.
Yeah, and so by angels, do you mean ACUTE or OBTUSE?
Well, say that again.
So by angels, do you mean ACUTE or OBTUSE?
I was getting at how our listeners are really angels, and speaking of angels, Los Angeles.
Yeah, the home of a certain prolific member of this podcast. Thank you, Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
joining us.
of course.
No problem, you're a little late, but going up against Jamal Murray, who's had a really hot series against, just closed one out against Utah. How do you guys feel?
Now, is you guys the audience, or
You guys is Kawhi, but Kawhi, I think he's having a system update, so he won't be able to respond.
he's
We'll get
I,
LeBron on here later, though, I think, in the post game.
he just texted me. He said, "Who are you?" So
Wow, I can't believe it got that far.
yeah, that's
That's pretty impressive.
well when you spam him enough.
Do you have like some sort of collaborative work chat, like Teams or Slack or something? Like, what do you guys use?
For the Lakers.
Yes, but then also at a power plant.
What are you talking about?
Like the actual. Well, okay. What I was thinking, you're talking about you contacted LeBron. Obviously, it would like never happened. You'd get some like publisher person. Yeah. So on Teams, I can access my company's CEO. Like I've like seen him in the search bar before, and I'm just like, what if?
I have a Teams for just like our class. There's no one else on it. It's just our class and like the trainer.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. No. Everybody in my company is in that team, so I could just hypothetically reach out to anybody. And sometimes I've done it to like, I'm like looking for help on something, and I'll reach out to someone, and they'll immediately like direct me to someone else. I'm like, okay, so they're above my pay grade, but actually that's not true because they're nice. Well, they are above my pay grade, but that's because they're middle-aged people. You'd hope they'd be farther ahead than I am.
Not necessarily, Alex. Give yourself more credit, and give them less credit.
True. Yeah. Well, if I gave myself more credit, I wouldn't be on scholarship anymore because I'd be over the credit hours. So cool. Hey, listeners, sorry about that weird 7-second pause there. I don't know what happened. It's that cut out for a second. There was no sound. You guys should be thankful for that. So thank you for bearing with us, listeners.
This was a rocky episode. I'll say that much. Most of it on Tanner's end, but a lot of ups and downs.
The visual component of Tanner definitely enhances because you get a lot of that. This is an overused phrase nowadays, but chaotic energy. You get a lot of that when he's.
There's so much going on screen. I mean, especially since we went to the virtual format.
Yeah.
For some reason, as you said, he's gotten more chaotic.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
Crazy because in quarantine, it's like people are doing less, but he somehow is doing more.
People are usually settling down, relaxing more, but yeah, there's just so much going on.
Yeah, it's like in my recent discovery, the atom. Did you know that the electrons have like sort of different energy levels? And having a last name of Bohr, that's pertinent. Yeah, cool.
Keep it going, Alex.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
So in 1525, Niels Bohr gave birth to Albert Einstein, thus initiating the discovery of the atom in Portugal by Brazil. Very cool.
All right. Well, we don't want to leave our audience bored, so we'll move on to the. Oh, is that text from Anthony Davis? No. Okay.
Is that Bohr as in KMS or BOHR? And anyway.
Okay. We're gonna end the Alex and Daniel show here. I think we've done this long enough. Unless you got anything else you want to mention, play a song on guitar or anything. We'll close it out with the classic French song, "Honor."
Yeah. So I switched octaves there, but we all know that's probably a French song. Cool. Cue the accordion music fading in. Until next time, listeners.
Oh, was that?